Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. This is for revision for level 1B for week 7. We've taken the final form of the series of forms that we will be taking this quarter, which is the Makaan form. Now, Makaan actually means place. And so we're going to see how that will help us, inshallah, in remembering the meaning of the words that fall under that form. Okay, so the word Makaan means place. So we're dealing with this form and noticing how it indicates places. Now, what I want to draw your attention to, and I want you to keep in mind, which is very, very important, what I'm asking you to do now in class is to change verbs, into these forms, okay? That's a level beyond what you're actually going to be required to do in reality, okay? In reality, all you're going to really have to do is to recognize the forms. Beyond this class, you're not going to have to produce forms. The idea of producing it is so that you can recognize it when you see it. I'm not sure that if we just read examples that you would recognize it. But going through the process of putting it together and taking it apart and these types of things, it'll kind of help you to recognize it when you see it. But again, you're not going to be able to, or you're not going to be required to produce this form practically. Practically, you're going to be reading. You're not going to be writing. So it's just recognizing the form, knowing what's been dropped and those types of things, and being able to find the verb if necessary. So if it seems a little bit difficult, that's okay, because you're being required to do more than you're going to have to do in reality, which is simply read. Okay, so what I want you to notice here, because this inshallah will help us to remember, especially for that exam I'm sure you're all fretting. We have two forms that are kind of similar. We have the Maf oul form and we have the Makaan form, or the form for a place. Now, what I want you to notice here is when we look at the Maf oul form, and the Makaan form, they both have a meme and a fatha at the beginning. What makes the Maf oul form distinguished is the presence of the waw. Okay? Now, remember that we've said that aleph, waw, and ya are interchangeable. When you're dealing with the Maf oul form for a weak letter, you're going to see that waw or that ya pronounced, just like you see a waw in the Maf oul form. I'll run that back for you. When we look at the Maf oul form, it is the waw that is apparent. You can see the waw. That's the distinguishing feature. When you put a word in the Maf oul form and it has a weak letter, you're going to see a waw or a ya, whether it's in the whether it's in the middle or whether it's in the end. You're going to see a waw or a ya. Okay? When we get to the Makaan form, the one for place, if you look at Makaan here, what is a distinguishing feature here? This aleph. Not a waw, not a ya. When a word is in the Makaan form, when it's showing a place, the distinguishing feature will be an aleph. Now that aleph might be mamduda, it might be stretched out like in Makaan, or it might be maqsura like it here is in our word mar'a. Okay? But the idea is you're going to have an aleph, just like you have an aleph in Makaan. And for Maf oul, you're going to have a waw or a ya, just like you have a waw in Maf oul. So hopefully that helps you to remember which one goes with which. Maf oul has a waw, so you're going to see the waw or the ya pronounced. Makaan has an aleph, and so you're going to see an aleph, whether it's maqsura or it's mamduda, whether it's stretched or whether it's shortened. So here our verb is ra'a. The Maf oul form would be mar'i. Here you see that ya pronounced there. And our Makaan form would be mar'a. Okay, so let's notice the difference between the forms. Here we have the verb wada'a, which means to put. Again, if it begins with a waw, then you really don't have to worry about any changes to the forms. The forms are going to remain in their original structures. Okay? So with wada'a, a verb becomes, our maf'ul form becomes mawdu', just like it's written, mawdu'. Which would mean here the action of putting has happened to it, so it's placed somewhere. So if something is mawdu', it's placed somewhere. So the kub, the cup is mawdu' ala tawila. It's placed on the table. We can also speak about it, not metaphorically, but we can speak about it in less tangible terms, less physical terms, when we say, for example, mawdu' can also mean a subject. Yani it's something that's put out there to be discussed. You understand what I'm saying? So there really hasn't been a physical placement of it anywhere, but it has conceptually been put out there to be discussed. So a mawdu' can also be a topic, a subject, something that's going to be discussed or studied or talked about. So I say mawdu'u darsihi, the subject of his lesson, al-iman. The subject of his lesson is iman. Okay, mawdu'u darsihi al-imanu. Mawdu'u darsihi al-imanu. The subject of his lesson or his lesson is, or his class is al-iman. When we get to the Makaan form, we get mawdu' there. Remember, there are three different forms we can have. It can be maf'al, like maktab, office or desk. It can be maf'il, like masjid, a place of sajda. Or it can be maf'ala, like madrasa, a place of study. So here we have mawdu', maf'il, mawdu'. And a mawdu' is where something is put. So it would be its location. So a mawdu' is the place or a location where something happens or is. Okay, so wada'a means to put. The place where something is put is its mawdu'. So mawdi'uhu fil bayt. And his present location is in the house. Alright, so now we have a different verb. So now the weak letter is here in the middle. Okay, now again, to do the maf'ul form, you have to understand what that weak letter is in the middle. For comma, it's going to be a waw. Okay, so when we turn comma into the maf'ul form, then we get maqum. Remember, we're going to put a mim with a fatha. We're going to put a qaf with a sukoon. Then we're going to have the waw, the original letter, with a sukoon. And then we're going to have the elongating waw with the sukoon. And then we have the mim. You can't even say it. Okay, so because of that, we have to drop and make some changes. So what are we going to drop? We're going to drop that extra waw that came with the form. We'll drop that off because we got too many sukoons there. After that, we're left with sukoon on the qaf and sukoon on the original waw, the one that this alif stands for. All right. Since waw is an elongation letter, we decide to keep the sukoon there, and we're going to change the sukoon on the qaf to be a dhamma. So it becomes maqum. So if stand up means to stand, if qama means to stand, then maqum would be stood up or propped up. Okay, if it's a word. Again, remember we said that some of these might be hypothetical. They may not actually be words, but we're just working through, if it were a word, what would it mean? So maqum would be something made to stand, something that standing was done to. So if something is propped up or put up or like this, that would be maqum. If we want to say the place, remember we're going to keep the alif. Keep the alif, like Makaan. See how Makaan has that nice pretty alif there in the middle? Then here we're going to have an alif as well. So we get maqam. And so maqam is the place where you stand. And that's why we have in Hajj, or in the Kaaba, you have maqamu Ibrahim. The place where Ibrahim stood. The maqam. Yeah? Maqam is also used to talk about a station, a place, a status, that is also given as well. And just like when a person is awarded something first place, then he stands, like in the Olympics, stands on that higher pedestal and platform. Okay? The next word we have is Sara, which means to move, go, or travel. Allah says a lot in the Quran, Kul siru fil ard, travel throughout the land and see what happened to the nations that came before you. Siru from Sara. Okay? So our maf'ul form for Sara becomes masir. Again, we would put the meme with the fatha, sin with the sukoon, ya with the sukoon, okay, for that original letter, what that aleph stands for, a waw with the sukoon, which is for the form, and then the ra. Again, we have too many sukoons, 3 back to back, so we drop the waw because that's extra. We're left with ya and the sin, okay, both with a sukoon. Because sin can elongate, because ya can elongate, then we keep the sukoon there, and so we're going to change the initial haraka or diacritical mark for the sa, for the sin. Now, since we're elongating a ya, then we can't put a dhamma. We're going to put a kesra because kesra goes with ya, and so our word becomes masir. So masir, if Sara means to move, go, or travel, then masir would mean moved, put into motion. Okay, so for example, if something is off, a windmill is not moving, and then the wind begins to make those propellers turn, then I could say those propellers on the windmill are masirun birriyah, that they are put into motion by the wind. Masirun birriyah, that they are put into motion by the wind, and so on. A watermill would be masirun bilma, that it's made to move based upon because of water, and so on. Okay? If we want to go to the Makaan, to the word that means a place, then it would become masar. So here we've preserved the aleph, here we've preserved the ya. Wow, ya are apparent. Ya is apparent. Here, aleph is apparent, and here aleph is apparent. You know, I want to crack a joke so bad about the use of a parent because, you know, it's equivocal. You could use it in more than one way, but I'll refrain from doing that right now because I know this is serious business. All right? So a masar would be the place where you move or travel, like a road or a path. Or when we talk about streets and roads, it would be the lane of a highway. Masar. Also, when we talk about academics, you can also use masar to refer to the larger category of college that you have planned on attending. So humanities is a masar. Science is a masar. The focus, the emphasis, the path that you'll be traveling as it relates to your education. It's like when you need those words the most, you just can't think of the word that is a specific word I'm trying to use, but I can't think of it. But anyway, you get the point. So the path that I'm going to take in terms of my education, I'm going to go down the humanities path, dealing with history or language or those types of things, as opposed to sciences. The next one that we have is jara. Jara means to run or flow. Run like a physical person or animal. Flow like water. Water runs. Yeah, water's running. So here we have, again, the maf oul form would be majriyun. Okay, because now it's coming at the end. So what happened? We have the meme with the fatha. We have the jim with the sukoon. Then we have the ra, which would originally take a dhamma. Then we have the waw, which is added, okay, with the sukoon. And then we have the ya at the end, which takes it to dhammas. Okay? What happens is that waw and the ya, because they are both weak letters, they can fuse together. So the waw becomes a ya, and the two yas come together, and that's why we have the shadda. Remember, the shadda indicates two letters, one with a sukoon and one without a sukoon. And so that's what we get there. So now, remember, we had the dhamma on the ra. Because we have a ya and a sukoon, the elongation of that ya is going to be with the kasra. So we change that dhamma, that's the original haraka for the maf oul form, to a kasra here because we're elongating a ya. So it becomes majriyun. Majri. So if jara means to run, then majriyun means made to run. And so so for example, let's think of cattle. If cattle are prodded and made to move and change grazing locations, if, for example, for hunters, if a call is made or a shot is fired to get all of those animals moving so that they can come into shooting range or whatnot, then you would say that they are majri. If there's something that, for example, can make water run after it was being still, so then the water would be majri. So, for example, if there's a dam and the dam breaks, then the water behind the dam becomes majriyun after having been still. Okay. For the place, then that would be the majra. The majra would be the place where something runs. So when we're talking about actually running, then again we're talking about maybe a racetrack. We're talking about a path where something or someone runs. If we're talking about water or something of that nature, then we would be talking about, for example, a current. The current which naturally carries the water in certain directions, that would be the majra. Also for air, the way or the place that air flows, how air flows, the location, at the direction in which air moves, that would also be the majra of the air. Okay? But again, more importantly, what we're looking at here, maf'ul, the waw is apparent, so here you're going to see the waw and the ya apparent. Can't stop thinking of that possible joke I was going to make, can you? And then here you see the aleph, and here we see the aleph for Makaan. So just remember those. If you see an aleph, Makaan, because Makaan has an aleph. If you see a ya or a waw, then it is maf'ul because of the waw or the ya. Okay? Laha means to distract or amuse. So again, maf'ul becomes malhiyun, that ya becomes apparent. Malhi means amused or distracted. So if someone is watching a movie, then he or she is malhi. If someone is listening to music, then he or she is malhi. If someone is at an amusement park and on a ride, for example, then he or she is malhi, in it that they are amused or distracted. A place where you get amused or distracted, again, like a bar or a club or an amusement park, that would be a melha. A melha with the alif maqsura there on the end. Again, Makaan, alif, maf'ul, waw, or ya.